Hi, good morning. Thank you all for being here. My name is Gina. I'm the Adult Services Manager for Gwinnett County Public Library, and my colleague Amy is here as well. Wave, Amy. And we put this on this morning, so we're so glad that you've joined us and that you're here. I'm just going to introduce Randy, and we'll go ahead and get right into things. Randy Cox was born in Atlanta in 1950 and grew up in the nearby suburb of Decatur. He has worked in Georgia and Alabama as a reporter, area news and sports editor for several newspapers, and as a radio news broadcaster, as well as performing extensive public relations work. His journalism career spans 50 years. Randy was a young reporter with the Valley Times News in Lanett, Alabama, when he had the good fortune of covering the Braves on opening night in 1974, when his hero, Henry Aaron, became baseball's all-time home run king. 715 at 50 is his fourth book. Welcome, Randy. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you, Gina. I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate y'all inviting me today, and looks like a good many Atlanta Braves and Hank Aaron fans, and I've been talking about Henry Aaron since the book came out. Can everybody hear me okay? Yep. Since the book came out March 4th, and we had some pre-sales, and we wanted to kind of time it so that it would come out a few weeks before the 50th anniversary, which was April the 8th this year, about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And we've got some pictures here that not only show the anniversary, but shows you the night of the home run, which was April the 8th, 1974. I was 2 years old then. And no, I was, like she said, a young sports editor. I had started off in journalism. I'm originally from Decatur, and I had been able to get a hard time to get a journalism job in 1973, but I finally found one in Lanett, Alabama, at the newspaper called the Valley Times News. And I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed sports, but I had some previous experience with Henry Aaron, and it was just a matter of timing, because when I had studied journalism in college. My junior year, we were doing some pairings with some of the reporters from the Atlanta Constitution and Journal, and I got the opportunity to be paired with two Atlanta Constitution sports writers. One of them has got pictures in here, is in the book, Wayne Minshew and Hal Hayes. Those were the beat reporters for the Braves in 73, 74, and they were really good. They were like the first beat reporters for the Braves when they came in 66, when they moved down from Milwaukee. But I got started really when I was 7 years old with Henry Aaron. And the reason being, we had our Cub Scout meeting while the World Series was going on that year. That was 57, when Milwaukee Braves were playing the Yankees, the mighty Yankees. And everyone remembers that the Braves won this World Series behind the bats of Henry Aaron, Eddie Matthews, the pitching of Lou Burdette. And I would say that Mickey Mantle and Henry Aaron were my favorites. Unfortunately, Mickey Mantle, for the Yankees, he got hurt during that series. So the Braves won that year. Yankees came back the next year and won. So it was a 2-year battle. But that was when the 57 World Series, like I said, I was a Cub Scout. We were at Cub Scout meeting. We turned the TV on in the afternoon, and the game was on. These played in the afternoon. And we were all gathered around watching the game. And I found out last year, when I was doing research for this book, that Henry Aaron was an Eagle Scout. And that was cool. We were actually watching an Eagle Scout in doing his thing. And he has a list of accomplishments that I try to enumerate in the book. The book mainly is about that night and some the day before when he tied the record. And in the book you'll see sidebars about Dusty Baker, Willie Mays, two of the guys that were in the game, the 715th home run game. Ron Reed, who lives in Gwinnett County, by the way, he lives in Lilburn. He was the winning pitcher, and he has gone to a couple of book signings with me. He's still pretty tall. He's about 6'6", and he was the winning pitcher. And Buzz Capra was the pitcher who saved the game, and he lives in Chicago. They were both down here for the 50th anniversary celebration 3 or 4 weeks ago, and they had a good time going over to the History Center and seeing the exhibit, Atlanta History Center, where they had the exhibit for Henry Aaron called More Than Brave, and I'm trying to get a couple of pictures of that. I haven't yet, but we talked to them and interviews with them, Reed and Capra, in the book, and also a gentleman named Bob Hope. He was the publicity director for the Braves, and he lives in Decatur. I got to interview, I put a whole chapter in that, and he was the best friend of Hank Aaron. In fact, I talked to him this week, and he and the Aaron family are on their way probably today to go to the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. Tomorrow they're unveiling the statue for Henry Aaron, and Aaron and Babe Ruth are the only two players in the Hall of Fame that have their own separate exhibits. So I told him for him to take me a picture of the statue so I can put it in this. Let me go ahead and get this started. I've got a little hearing problem today. One of my left hearing aids not working, but I'll try to do my best on your questions. I may have to come in and be a little closer, but if you'll excuse me for that, we'll go ahead and get the slideshow started. I don't know much about PowerPoint, but my wife back here, Lainey, she put this together, and she kept adding photos and taking photos out and putting it together, and we hope it's a good representation of the book, and we'll get it started. I think we will. There we go. Okay, too far. Okay, this is basically where it got started as far as covering Henry Aaron. But if we'll back up to 1971, like I was telling you, I was in journalism, and I got to cover the 600th home run for my Georgia State University Signal with an article, and I got to talk to him afterwards, after the game, with some of the reporters, and it was very informal. Back then, you didn't have to have security everywhere, and it was just a nice atmosphere. So he had hit his 600th home run, and we talked to him, and we said, what about the 715th home run? You thinking about that? And he said, no, not really thinking about that. That's a long way off. Well, 3 short years later, I had a job with the LA Times News. Like I said, I was in my second year, and he was sitting on 713 home runs at the end of 73. So the first part of 74, you knew he was going to tie it and break the record pretty close, but it only took him 2 swings. The game in Cincinnati was a day game. Bowie Kuhn was there, Vice President Ford, and the first swing, he hit it off of Billingham, and that tied the record, and he got the ball for that, and so he had 2 more games in Cincinnati. And Eddie Matthews, who was the manager, wanted to sit him out. So guess what? He could hit the home run at home. Well, Bowie Kuhn, the commissioner, he said, nope, you have got to play him in at least 1 game. So he set out Saturday, but he played Sunday. And luckily for me, luckily for fans in Atlanta, he didn't hit anything. So he was coming home and try to break the record. The first night, Monday night, homestand. And Bob Hope, who was a publicity director, and Bill Bartholomew, who was the president, chairman of the board of the Braves, they wanted him to kind of, spread it out a little bit, let some people come in and boost the attendance. Well, Henry Aaron didn't want to have anything of that. First swing that night, it was in the 4th inning. First time up, he walked. Second time up, first swing, out of here. And that was his 715th. Anyway, I was there. I covered the home run for this paper. It was the Valley Times News is located between LaGrange, Georgia, and Auburn, Alabama. It's right there on the Alabama-Georgia line. And I always felt a nice satisfaction because a lot of the papers in Alabama did not send anybody to the game. They just relied on wire reports because, there was a pretty good chance he wasn't going to hit it. So Auburn, Opelika News, were always competing with them because they're a much bigger paper. They didn't send anybody. So I was just lucky enough to be there. And we scooped them, front page picture. And here we have the story that I wrote of the home run, and here he is with his bus. That thing was extremely heavy. Bob Hope said they just had a time trying to get that in his station wagon, but it was a nice bust. And I don't even know who that guy is, but it's one of those geek pictures. But we'll go away from that. But I was really excited about that having happened. Of course, Babe Ruth. This is a picture of Babe Ruth when he was playing at the old Ponce de Leon ballpark in Atlanta, where the Crackers played. And this was during the 30s, and he hit a home run that day. And of course, Henry Aaron, in his early days in Milwaukee, before they moved down here in '66, after spending a year litigating, the county wanted to keep him. There was no way that they were going to be able to do that, but they managed to keep the team there for 1 more year. And I got to tell you, this was my first sports book. I've written 3 other books, but they have been about collectibles. I've done comic books, baseball cards, board games, and I've done three different books. And they keep shrinking. The first book was 8.5 by 11, like this size right here. And the second book was like a 4 by 6. And the third one was a regular paperback, 3 by 5. So I called it the Incredible Shrinking Trilogy is what it was. So anyway, I ended up doing about 40 collectibles. And I said, well, I think that's all I'm going to work with. But the opportunity came to do this book in 2021. Unfortunately, Hank Aaron passed away, and the Valley Times News did another article with me giving a tribute to Henry Aaron, and read some more photos. And I got to thinking, we never did run all the photos that were in my camera that night. We took about 100 photos, and I said, well, I need to print these things up and see what's in there. So we did, and long story short, we ended up with 44 photos from that night with Hank Aaron's number, and we supplemented with other photos from the History Center and some photos of program. This is the year the Crackers played in Atlanta Stadium in '65. That was the litigation year, and then the Braves came the next year. this is a picture. This is a photo of the program that night when he hit his 715th. He was with Donald Davidson, who was a traveling secretary, and I've got a part in the book telling about some of the pranks that Don Davidson tried to do, and some of the pranks that were done on him. He was quite a character, or he was quite a character. Everybody liked him, but he could be really, really. How do I want to say that? Abrupt in his personality. One quick story. He was in charge of booking all the hotels and everything for the Braves, and this was in the, I think, early '60s. They had a game in Cincinnati and had booked the Netherlands Hotel. Well, Warren Spahn and Lou Burdett, the two of the best pitchers on the team, did pranks on Donald. Well, one time they got in the elevator, and there's about 30 floors in that elevator, and the two pitchers were on floors, the 11th floor, and Donald Davidson, little guy comes, he's about 4 foot tall. He comes in, and abruptly says, "Punch 24 for me." One of those kind of things. And Burdett and Spahn just kind of stand there, and the elevator goes up, and they don't punch anything but 11. So they walk out, and Spahn looks back at him and says, "Punch it yourself, you little so-and-so." So he's in the elevator by himself, and he can't reach 24. So he goes back down and gets one of the guys in the hotel to punch the button for him, and then he immediately goes, and the next booking he puts himself on the first floor. So, but it's one of those job hazards, But anyway, he was quite a character, and we like to put some stories about him. Moving right along, we get to the date of the anniversary. The date of the home run. And y'all remember this guy? This bringing Aaron in. Anybody remember him?
No.
It's Milo Hamilton.
Oh, yeah, I remember the name. I lived across the street from Milo Hamilton.
Yeah, he and Aaron became good buddies after they had a little problem that a little squabble or something. But they were together that night and had 44 bat girls with 44 on their back, and this was the beginning of the pregame. Maintenance crews getting everything ready, and oh, by the way, I don't think there's a K on Knockahoma. I think it's N-O-C. Sorry about that. I gotta go backwards here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember.
Okay, yeah. I had contacted Nakahoma's daughter when I first started this, and Nakahoma he was in really bad health condition, but I wanted to verify and make sure that this was Nakahoma, and he said yes. She said yes, that he was a real fire breather. And since then, Nakahoma's passed away, but his legacy lives on because he was the mascot for the Braves for 25 years. And he did the prayer dance around the pitcher's mound, and when they had a home run, he'd fire the cannon off. One time he set fire to his tent, but he enjoyed doing the dance when somebody got a home run. So here he is before the game doing his fire dance, and Milo's getting ready to do something with on the field. And here's a moment in time, right before the game, 1974. And what is interesting to me about this is you got two guys with hats on and no other gear, spirit gear. You go today, and if you see somebody without spirit gear, you're going to say they look kind of weird. But anyway, that's a moment in time. We were, my cousin, Victor Sorrell, we were in the first base photographer's well taking pictures. So we had access to the field, before the game and able to take pictures. And here's some of the dignitaries. I'm sure you'll recognize some of them that are there. I don't have a picture of them, but Jimmy Carter was there, and Sammy Davis Jr., Red Fox, Pearl Bailey sung the national anthem. Here is the pitchers in the game.
Oh, Al Downing.
Poor old Al Downing was the one that threw the ball that Aaron hit over the fence for the 715th. Like I mentioned earlier, Ron Reed lives in Lilburn, and Buzz Capra. They with a winning and saving picture. They're really nice guys. Hank Aaron had a ritual. Oh, first let's back up a little bit. I thought it was real interesting. And I think I got this from one of the other writers. There's been a lot of books on Hank Aaron, but in the afternoon before a night game, Hank Aaron used to like to watch soap operas. And his favorite soap opera at that time was Edge of Night. And he watched that and just to relax. And I guess that was kind of his ritual at home. But he also had a ritual for getting ready to hit the ball. And you can see he has a certain thing. He's watching the pitcher. He's thinking about what he wants to do. He's doing something with his bat. He's getting ready, swinging the bat, looking again. And it's a whole segment. That's the home run. That's the home run right there. There's been a lot of pictures taken. I was lucky to get that one. And it was a cool night. You can even see his breath there. It was a cool, rainy, misty night. So that was the picture. Joe Ferguson was the catcher for the Dodgers, and I forgot the name of the umpire. And these are some of the signage. Move over, babe. Here comes Henry. Most of these photos are in the book, and a lot of them have never been published. We enjoyed taking all those photos that night. Everything is in black and white because that I took because we were in '74. That's what the papers called for. We weren't doing color, and we weren't doing digital photos. You had to develop those the next morning. And this is not my picture either. This is a picture that Floyd Gilson, who was a really good photographer for the Atlanta Journal, he took, and I was able to use it because the Gilson estate gave the photograph copyrights to the Atlanta History Center. So I was able to use this one. But this one says, "You were there, you fans here at Atlanta Stadium tonight, Monday, April 8th, 1974, have just witnessed one of the great, if not the greatest, moments in recorded sports history." And I think this is a pretty good case for that. And people are excited. We've been doing some book signings at Truest at the Baseballism store, and folks have come in and they're so excited about remembering. Some of them were actually at the game. Some of their relatives were at the game, and they've got the little certificates. I was there when Hank Aaron hit his 715. So it's a big deal. It put Atlanta on the sports capital of the world that night. Yeah, you remember those two guys coming on?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is a spontaneous thing. Britt Gaston and Courtney, I forgot his first name, they just jumped out. It was a spontaneous thing. They didn't want to hurt him. They just wanted to congratulate him. But they were in the bullseye there for a minute because they didn't know, people didn't know what they were going to do. Some of the security people, but
The two guys.
Yeah. Did they go to jail?
yeah, Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they had to take them to jail, but they released them after about 3 hours. But they had a definite story to tell. One of the guys became an ophthalmologist, and the other one had a graphics business, but he's passed away. Okay, this is when they're coming in and greeting Hank Aaron after he hit the home run. Dusty Baker, everybody knows Dusty, was the manager of the Astros. He was on deck, but he kind of stayed back a little bit and let some others get up there first. And I think Davey Johnson, another manager, was there first. Okay, I got to show you this. This is a little bit of a thing when people say, were you really there? Because I mean, I didn't take a lot of pictures of myself that night, but good old Floyd Gilson took a picture from the stands that showed Henry Aaron coming in. You can see Henry. I think he's right there, and all the reporters, photographers. I was over here. You see the arrow, and that's me with the glasses, and I was taking pictures of them coming in. So when people say, "You weren't there," yes, I am. I'm right there. It's a little bitty guy. So anyway, that was fun. I had found. I'm sorry.
Go back to that picture if you can. Go back to that previous picture.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people lived in Atlanta at that same time, but I believe the fella in the white outfit was Craig Sager.
You're right.
TBS.
Craig Sager was he was right in the middle of it, doing audio for a radio station, and he's the one that went on to become the spokesman or announcer for the NBA basketball, and he just passed away. But he was right in there, and I kind of stayed back because I wanted to get pictures. I didn't want to get too close because you couldn't take pictures, you know. But yeah, you're exactly right. And here is Henry Aaron and Billy at the press conference afterwards. And the main thing that Henry Aaron was wanting to tell everybody, I'm glad it's over. Well, it's 2 years he was working, or 2 or 3 years really, since his 600th. And he was glad it was over. So much pressure. If you read in the book about some of the hate mail, there was a segment of people that sent some really vile hate mail in, but according to Bob Hope, who was a publicity director, he said that was the minority, a little minority. Most of the mail and responses from the public was positive. I've got some of the quotes from the kids, which were pretty interesting. And yeah, one of the kids that sent it in, boy, I hope you beat Baby Root. He thought, Baby Root, you know. But yeah, everything was pretty positive. But he handled, with maybe 1 or 2 exceptions, the mail very well. The responses. There was I got to tell you one quick story. I guess we're doing okay on the time. Okay, this was in, I think it was before the home run, but the Atlanta Journal-Constitution had done 2 or 3 articles. One was a column by Jesse Outler, who had gotten it was a misspelling or something having to do with Billy, and there was a couple of other, maybe a picture cut line and one other thing. Anyway, it was something that kind of ticked Hank Aaron off, and Frank Highland, who was one of the reporters for the Journal, he didn't even have anything to do with 2 of them. One of them, one of them was Aaron's. They did a story on whether he wanted to be commissioner, and there was a little bit of misquoting or something anyway. But anyway, Hank Aaron was upset because of 2 or 3 things. Okay, coming into one of the games, I think it was with the Mets, and I worked for the Department of Agriculture for 34 years. I was with the Market Bulletin. So we used to do Agriculture Day, and this was before I went to work for them, but they used to give fruits and vegetables or whatever to the players. Okay, that night they had given the players a container of strawberries. And Frank Highland picked that night to go see Hank Aaron in the locker room. So he went. One of the people in the clubhouse said, "I think you better leave Hank Aaron alone tonight. I don't think this is a good night to talk to him." And Frank said, "No, it's okay. I'll go in." And make a long story short, he goes in there and he starts to talk to Hank Aaron, and Hank grabs the carton of strawberries and just pushes it right at Frank and got it all over his shirt. And Frank leaves, goes up to the press box where Bob Hope is, and Bob's looking at him and thinking, "Oh my goodness, are you gonna go home with that lipstick on?" And Frank says, "That's not lipstick." He had those strawberries all over his shirt. So, but that was one of the few times. One time when they were yelling at him in right field, he was about ready to go up there and do something. But he like I said, most of the time he was just a perfect gentleman. Okay, all good things come to an end, and 1997, after Fulton County Stadium was used in the Olympics, they demolished it in about 2 seconds. It took 2 minutes, really. It had taken 11 months to build, which was very quick, but it took 2 minutes to tear it down. And I managed to buy one of the seats, one of the blue seats that was in there, and I donated it to the Atlanta History Center for their exhibit for Hank Aaron. And Laney and I went to the parking lot where the fence is still there at where Fulton County Stadium, and Georgia State just announced this week that they have approved to build a stadium there for the Panthers baseball team. They've been playing over at South DeKalb for years in a stadium that has very little facilities for the fans, so they're building a state-of-the-art thing, but they're going to leave that in. I don't know exactly what they're going to do, but it will be a part of the stadium. And now I'm 74 in 2024, so that's the book, and that's my picture. So, a couple of things that have happened since the book came out. This was opening weekend. We were able to prove that we were at that game, and about 70 others got free tickets to the game. So we were out there watching the Braves lose to the Mets, and they had the pregame ceremony. But that afternoon, I was in the Baseballism store, which is a store next to the Threads Clubhouse store at Truist. And Reggie Chapman came in. He's with 11 Alive. He did a nice filmed clip on the book. And Adam Murphy, he did a really nice clip too on Channel 46, Atlanta News First, and they were real. It was a real good coverage that they gave me, and there's Adam right there, and that was some really good coverage. Okay, now we've come to the 50th anniversary. This is the ticket that we got, to get in free, and we sat up there with the other, I call them survivors, and they gave bobbleheads. There was a bobblehead back there. I gave a poster, and they had 750 people out there, 755 people with the signs, the big baseball, and the number of the ones that of his home runs. So, and I wanted to point out special thanks to Brad Ficek, and we were able to set up at the Baseballism store. They used Babe Ruth as their symbol. They got permission from the Ruth estate to do that, and Brad has been really, really good. And I put some of the newspapers where we covered the Aaron story, and a little guy came up and he said, "You were there 50 years ago?" I mean, 50 years to a kid, that's like, you know, the Egyptian pyramids, you know. Okay, and here's some of the lovely people that came by the Baseballism store, and we talked to them. They had a great time. They would come by in the afternoon and check out all the clothes. It's a really nice clothing store if you get a chance to get over there and talk to us and look at the books. So we're going to do some questions. Anybody have any questions? I know you got some questions. Let me come over there because my hearing is not that great.
I don't know if you heard me or not. I lived across the street from Milo Hamilton growing up.
Really?
Chicago. Yeah. Our house was here, his house was on the corner. Kitty corner.
Yeah, she
across
said
from
that
us.
that grew up
I couldn't
across
see the
from Milo
picture from way
Hamilton.
back.
Yeah.
But his daughter Nancy was right about my age, and her and I were very good friends.
Oh, that's great.
And when my mother was pregnant with her fourth child, I was 9 years old, and he was next in line. So it had been 9 years since we'd had
How about
a
that?
child. And I have three brothers, and then there's me. I'm in between them. But I can remember being on our front porch steps, and my dad coming back from the hospital to tell us if it was a boy or a girl. And her and I were so sure it was going to be a boy or a girl. When my dad came up and said it was a boy, her and I sat on our front porch steps and we just bawled our eyes out. We were
Well, that's really neat.
upset because she had a brother
Yeah.
and I had three brothers, and we wanted a girl. So
Milo Hamilton had quite a career. I think he ended up his career with I think it was Houston.
for a while.
Yeah, he went to Houston a few years after the home run, and Don Davidson. You know, we talked about Don Davidson, the little traveling secretary. When Ted Turner came in, Ted Turner bought the Braves in '77, and you know what kind of character Ted Turner is. I guess there was only room for one character. Don had booked a room for I guess himself that was like a suite, and Ted Turner said I should be in that room, so he switched it. But anyway, eventually Ted said, you know, you got to go. So Don didn't get upset. He called Houston, and I think the next year he was traveling secretary for Houston. So, but that was two characters. I guess only one character per game.
He passed away, though.
What,
It said Don something passed away.
Don Sutton passed away.
Yeah. Anybody else have any questions?
You like Don Sutton?
If you take a look at the book, I think you'll enjoy it. It was a very love tribute to Henry Aaron and the Braves. Like I said, I've been a Braves fan since '57, and I was a big Cracker fan. My dad and I went to the Cracker games a lot, and when they decided to move down here, it was I was like, oh no, the Crackers not going to be playing anymore. But we got the Braves, so it was a different situation. You had the Crackers were such a really, really good minor league team. The Braves come in, and unfortunately besides the error and home run, there wasn't much to cheer about. We had 25 years of drought until the 90s when Sid Bream and Com Glavine and Smaltz and all those guys came in, and we had some really good teams, and we got great teams now. We're always in the mix, and the way things are set up, you don't even have to really win the division. In fact, if you win the division, you might not even get in the World Series. I guess you got to pace yourself. But anyway, I appreciate everybody coming, and I hope you'll enjoy the book. It's if you want to tell your friends, it is available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. In fact, the Barnes and Noble at WebGen has copies, but if you go to a Barnes and Noble that doesn't, they can order it for you. So, if anyone has any more questions, okay, well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you. Appreciate it.